My name is Arin. I'm an enterprise account manager at Insight, formerly also known as SADA Systems. We were acquired by Insight. I've officially been part of them as of this year. We are the global leading partner for Google Cloud and Google Workspace. So for all things that kind of go through that ecosystem, we are the preferred partner by Google for various organizations. So helping support that journey for our customers as we look to expand and grow our footprint. The introduction was done via our teams or our management because we, of course, work with a bunch of workspace customers that are utilizing different third-party applications and tools. And DoControl had come forward, of course, as one of the premier partners from a security standpoint for Google Workspace. So this naturally became a conversation topic at times with customers because as we understood the use cases and all the gaps that DoControl fills, it became an easy transition into making it a part of the conversation. So by being able to have that initial strong introduction, especially from Matt and team and from others, it's been really nice having that support, and we've felt that support from day one. So just being able to leverage that and to continue that and grow that relationship and partnership. The number one trend has just simply been the fact that data governance gets relatively complicated for these organizations. For a period of time, they felt like they had it under control. And as time has gone on, maybe a year or two or three or whatever that time frame is, sometimes things get untangled and it might start to get very complicated to put together and address. DoControl was able to fill that gap A to Z and also provide a few other value adds from their tool and offering that ultimately became a very smooth transition into having the customer explore this as a possible solution because they realize they checked off all the boxes. It's something that isn't available out of the box as it is. And by having the ability to use DoControl and leverage that technology for their environment was probably compelling enough on its own. And of course, there's been other initiatives as well, like giving customers the opportunity to trial the product itself and test it out and really see the value themselves as opposed to just seeing presentations on a slide deck. I think this is easy. It's that last word you mentioned. It's partnership. Having that open line of communication directly. So even if something comes up that I'm personally not even aware or certain that DoControl may or may not be able to fix, I'm able to get that answer relatively quickly from someone at the DoControl team to be able to just be like, yeah, this is great. Introduce me and we could talk about it. So I think that give and go is imperative to our success. It's probably the main reason why we're able to kind of, be very proactive together as we kind of work towards these accounts. And of course, just being able to maintain that momentum and grow it is part of the plan. As far as a solution, I personally haven't worked with anyone else that's been comparable in terms of the solution aspect of itself of what DoControl is providing for organizations. But from a partnership or relationship standpoint, really kind of, keeping things warm almost always. It's whether it's just relationships with our customers or our joint customers, or if it's efforts towards going towards new customers, or if it's for anything that is really about our team's education and knowledge, keeping all of those things warm together. Obviously, you're providing and extending yourself to make sure that we're well informed as to what's happening with the product, meeting with our team maybe on a quarterly basis, providing updates or recap of how things have been going, maybe some other deals or accounts we could revisit, and then formulating a game plan together, whether it's for the team itself for like a game plan of attack or on an individual basis too. So like DoControl puts the time in doing that, whether it's really helping groom someone at SADA to be able to sell the product itself or be able to speak to it, but also helping groom the team itself and just constantly keeping it top of mind. So I think that's that stood out the most for me. And it's been very pleasant having that, because it allows us to kind of just stay in check, allows us to be able to just, stay on top of it. And we all have very busy schedules. We all have a million things to do all the time, right? So it's kind of nice having that give and go. It's just having like your coworker really being able to bump you and nudge you, like, hey, like, did we do this? Did we do that? It's good. Great question. I think, again, because this is something that isn't necessarily available out of the box, it's not something that can be done just, with a few simple clicks. Makes it easy for customers that are especially very security centric or have these types of needs that DoControl is able to fulfill. It naturally is able to be part of the conversation, because of course we have the trust of the customer being able to provide this white glove service as their consultant, as their confidant in this entire journey and process, that they will, certainly be more open to listening to us, because we're able to provide solutions that probably make sense, right? Or, we'd like to think so. And in that sense, it just kind of naturally just happens. And we're like, we have a premier partner here that we work with, a premier partner of Google as well. And they're able to solve, X, Y, Z of these needs that you need. Or if it's not something you don't need, it makes it easy to highlight that, hey, in case you are worried about something like this happening, there is a solution that could offer up to be just something that can be part of the ecosystem that you have today. I think that's been the most valuable piece of the puzzle, I would say. It's funny because in some cases there's organizations that have absolutely no idea that something like this could possibly be happening, and when they plug in DoControl and they see, they're like, oh wow, this provides so much more context than I initially ever thought. And then in other cases, there's customers that I've spoken with and share DoControl, they have a very good understanding of what it can do. They're like, I'm actually scared of turning this on because I don't know what I'm going to uncover here. I think that speaks volumes, because it becomes very obvious as to what the value proposition is for DoControl. It's like, hey, this is a very big gap, and it becomes a matter of more like when, as opposed to if. It's more like when our organization is going to start to take care of this and do all that. So I think some of it comes down to timing as well. Maybe this month might not be a good time to talk to the customer about it or the organization, but 6 months, 8 months down the line, that there may be an incident, there may be a situation where it yields a response or a conversation with DoControl, and we've seen that happen multiple times. So it's been easy in the sense that, of course, I have a very clear understanding of where this solution will fit for some organizations. I know that there's some organizations that are probably not necessarily going to bat an eye to it, because it's just not something that maybe that person or that team is even going to be responsible for, or is even looking into. But being able to kind of continue the momentum, and kind of like how DoControl keeps it warm with SADA and of course probably other partners as well, but we also in turn like to keep the idea and the conversation warm with the customers, which we kind of do in tandem, because then DoControl will send a follow-up on a particular, whatever the update may be, if it's like the latest things, or keeping things relevant in context as well is what makes it very, very helpful, and also seamless in terms of transitioning from a potential email or a call into maybe a free risk assessment, or actually observing the product and analyzing it. They have greater security governance. They are feeling a lot better about what is going in and what is coming out. Really, realistically, being able to make these changes all directly in-house from the platform itself. Funny story, I actually had a customer I was speaking with on an entirely different topic that had nothing to do with DoControl at all. They are a DoControl customer now, by the way, but I was speaking with this customer in the middle of the conversation as he's navigating into different tabs and try to go to the thing that he's trying to present. He's like, man, DoControl is just so awesome, because I guess he's dealing with incidents that DoControl is coming in and just filling in gaps. I'm like, I know. That was honestly, and actually hadn't shared that with DoControl yet, but I definitely did want to just bring that in. But yeah, it was nice to hear, because it just came out of nowhere, and he just, thanked us for saying, introducing him to the product, and said that it's great. This is what we needed, and it says made my life easier. So that was really nice. But I think overall it's been a pleasant experience with customers that have an idea of, hey, this actually might be a pretty big issue internally in our organization. And once they see it themselves and they see the way that they can manage this content and data, I think all in all, it ends up being a very pleasant experience after the fact and even throughout. First and foremost is just the client satisfaction. I think just that in that last example with that customer being very happy that they invested in a tool that makes sense for them, and that's what we want. That's what we strive for, especially at SADA, that we work with customers within the Google Cloud environment. We want them to continue using and expanding on that product. By hearing customers make statements like that, it's very nice. They're able to kind of see the value of it, and we're able to kind of keep continuing to spread that joy as well. Like, talk about, hey, other customers have had success with this, with similar use cases, and it all becomes this very foundational approach, because you have examples to use for yourself and when you're in conversation with other organizations. But I think that's first and foremost, those client outcomes. Of course, additional revenue and growth, just being able to expand on these customers, and especially into things that are plugging into their Google environment, right? So they're expanding their footprint and utilizing it and making the entire ecosystem and environment stickier than it already is. Overall, just increased pipeline, which is fantastic. That's what we want. That's what everyone's looking for. So being able to find these opportunities and be able to, continue at a steady pace and drive momentum, and then hopefully get to an area where it's closed won, that's obviously the biggest win. And just having a bunch of deals that we've been able to close already successfully speaks for itself. And I think that's what we want to continue doing and want to see more of.